If you imagine that I actually have a bunch of lists in this app, it would be nice to have two different ways of looking at them. It would be nice to have what we have right now, this index of lists that shows a whole bunch of lists, but it would also be nice to be able to see a list off by itself on its own page, a page that shows a specific list. So that's what I'm going to make next is a show page for lists. So the very first thing I'm going to need to do is go to this roots.rb folder that's in config/roots.rb, and I'm going to need to tell Rails which URL to watch out for to show this show page that I'm about to make, to render this show page that I'm about to make. Inside this roots folder, I'm telling Rails what URLs I'm expecting users to go to. So what URLs I'm expecting users to go to, and then when they go to that URL, what should happen. So I've already done that once. I've said that when a user goes to the root URL, they should be taken to the list controller and the index method inside it. Now I'm going to say if someone goes to localhost 3000 slash specific list, they should be taken again to the list controller, but this time the show method. I haven't defined that yet, but I will. There are lots of opportunities for little syntax errors in here. To has to have a colon at the end of it. That's because it's a symbol. And also you have to make sure that these are plural, not singular, and that you have this pound right here. Not pound with curlies after it like this, but just pound and then show. Not pound with curlies, just pound and then show. Why this is called get, we'll talk more about that later on. But for right now, it's just that we're getting this specific page. Okay, so when someone goes to localhost 3000 slash specific list, they should be taken to the list controller and then the show method in here. So we should probably create a show method. So I'm going to do that, and that's it for right now. I'm going to rely on implicit rendering to show this show view, to render this show view. I haven't created a show view yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that over here. I'm going to create a new file that has to match whatever I have right here. Here I have def show, so this needs to begin with show. And then it'll be .html.erb. Again, lots of room for little syntax errors. Has to be .html.erb. In here, however, you can just put any HTML you want. So in here, I'm going to put listeroo. And then this is a specific list. There we go. And that's it for this step. If I go to localhost 3000 slash specific list, now I see listeroo, this is a specific list. If I go back to localhost 3000, there we go. There's my index page. So now you have a Rails app that has two different roots, two different views on it. So we're already seeing the V and the C of the MVC framework. What's going on here is that, again, when someone goes to a URL, this roots file comes into play and it looks for a URL that matches what the user goes to. If your user goes to localhost 3000 slash wombat, it's going to look for get wombat or something similar in here. In this case, it's not going to find it, so it's going to throw an error at me. It's going to say no root matches wombat. But if someone goes to specific list, then it says, oh, hey, look, there's specific list right here. I'm going to take them to the list controller and the show method inside it. So the purpose of the roots file is just to get people to a controller. The purpose of the controller file is to say what should happen when someone goes to that root. So we're not doing anything too elaborate yet, we're just rendering views. That's usually what happens when people go to controllers, is that some sort of a view is rendered. All right, so that's all I'm going to do for this step. So I'm going to make my commit message, adding a show page for a specific list.